talking about women representation in the cabinet, the women are asking for more. Do you think we can achieve the affirmative action which talks about women participation in government?
When you say women participation, especially in this cabinet, like I said, the youths among the women are there. The youths among the men are there. There are other areas in which women can become very important and relevant. There are agencies that are even more than ministries. I can name them for you that are existing. There are several agencies. We saw Dora Akunyili late, may her soul rest in peace, in NAFDAC. Even the Minister of Health didn't get the kind of attention that Dora Akunyili got. I can name more and more. So there are other areas in which the women can still be included. I am not sure that we are exhausted yet. But like I said, I'm only sounding out that the president of this country must remember that loyalty must be rewarded, loyalty must be serviced, because we still have a lot of work ahead of us. Those who have committed themselves and who have demonstrated an undiluted loyalty to this country and who have been seen and known to work for this country and for this party should not be allowed to be mocked, as it's about to happen in some states as we speak today. We just got the board of NDDC now. Protests are all over the country, all over the Niger Delta. Ondo is on the boil. Cross River is on the boil.
Mr. Cletus.
A lot of other such
Mr.
places.
Cletus, well, we will get there. But you've been talking about loyalty. Now, what more do you think the administration should do to ensure more inclusive governance?
By returning to the provinces, to the regions, to the zones, to the states. In states where you have, every state has a minister. So if it's about party loyalty, your minister should be able to tell you that. If it is about inclusion of party members who are loyal, the governors of the states should be able to do that. And there are other leaders who will now galvanize and mobilize other stakeholders to take a decision about a list, because everybody cannot be appointed. Everybody cannot be patronized. But there are people whom you know will add value. And the only people who know that is their own people. So, like he did before, asking the governors to produce a list from their states, there's no way the governors will not know that. If the governor does not like certain people, there are other stakeholders that will remind that, look, we don't like the face of this man, but he can give us results at the national level. There must be a synergy between the center, which is Abuja, and the provinces, which is the state capitals, that is the governors. From the National Assembly members, through the ministers, down to the board appointments and appointees, there should be a synergy in order to bring the best for the people of each state. And that is why there is a quality of states. That should not in any way mean that they should play down the issue of merit. There is no community I have maintained. There is no community that has a residency and permanent abode for quality and merit. Every community has its own merit. Where you cannot find a cow, please look for a goat in that community. Where you cannot find a goat, look for a cock. There is no way you can say that every community or everywhere do not have people. There are people who may not be schooled, but are sufficiently exposed. So we cannot sacrifice that in balancing this country and making the country one and making people feel part of the government and part of this country. There must be that equality of states and equality of persons and reward for loyalty and commitment and dedication above everything else. So religion, ethnicity, fine, is in balance with the provision of the constitution that every state must produce. But in the appointment of other ministries, departments, and agencies of government and commissions, boards and commissions, there must be that strengthening and there must be that synergy consciously. The situation where National Assembly members are going one way and then the governor and his state executive and cabinet is going the other way, where we used to know Lagos and Calabar front in the NDDC in Cross River and such other places like Benue, where you have Lagos versus Makurdi. Those things can no longer work in an era of technology, in an era of need and emergency, such as we find ourselves today. We must have a synergy between all appointed and elected officers. Stakeholders must be committed. We cannot come together and win election. And when it comes to the distribution of patronage, you begin to be selective. The 2003 is gone. 2007 is coming. So everybody must be conscious of that. The same energy we are using to have put this party in government, that same energy should also be utilized to make the government sustained. We can do that. We can afford it. The exclusion policy in which people who work so hard, people who lost almost everything are being put in the front, while those who won everything are put in the back. That must stop. That is not encouraging. That does not in any way represent democracy. If there must be democracy, it must also trickle down from reward to hard work, from loyalty to commitment. So if you didn't win election, will you be talking about patronage?
So let's get to some of the issues.
And I imagine that this country will be better off if we have this. We must synchronize this. We must bring this to bear. So as far as I'm concerned, and as far as I know of today, I think that the states, the national, the presidency must consciously coordinate the well-being. Where there is no cooperation in the states, even the national will suffer, because whatever you do in the state will not show. I know several projects that were done in this country by the last administration that were never known because there was no publicity for them. That is because some states were grumbling and some persons were grumbling and ensured that nothing ever was publicized. And of course, you should know that in a democracy, one of the bastions of democracy is a free press. It's a free press. And that free press is today
now, some
existing.
people
So
are
we must
complaining
utilize it.
about
I know the abuse of the social media. I know the use and abuse of the social media. But the regular media have been doing so well. And I imagine that they will be sustained. Thank God the president is himself a media owner. So we are very sure that the media will get greater role and get to play greater and better role in the future within this government.
Okay. Now, let's get to some of the issues that have been raised. I mean, some people are complaining about inclusion of former River State Governor Nyesom Wike in the cabinet being a non-APC member. Is this justified?
Well, that question, for me, the political game is a game. The political game is a game of give and take. Like I asked the last question, if you don't win the election, you cannot be asking to be included. We know the results we got from River State. It is the first of its kind ever since 1999 that the opposition will get that kind of result. It didn't just happen. We've had our members sitting down there in Port Harcourt, and we never got any result. Even when we had the DG from that state, we know the result we got in 2018 and 2019. We know the results. So if we had a change of result, it didn't happen by accident. So if Wike played a role in that manner and has demonstrated with his project in Port Harcourt that he is a go-getter and can add value to this government. I remember the night of glamour on the 2nd of July, 2007, when Ashwaju was handing over to Fashola, all of us state chairman of ACN were invited to Lagos. On the 5th, we came to Abuja for a meeting of ACN. We were told by the Musa Yar'Adua government that they want government of national unity. The intention was to douse the tension that came from that election. So if in 2023 Ashwaju is reenacting that and goes out to also demonstrate it, I imagine that our democracy is growing because a man like Wike can add value to our system. But I will plead with him that the conquistador posturing of poaching, intruding, and interfering in other states can generate bad blood. Everybody should limit himself within his territory because man naturally is a territorial being. You don't walk into an man's house and begin to dictate what happens there. You can give assistance to your brother. That does not mean you should go and take his wife. No matter how lame you think he is, no matter how poor you think he is, no matter how lazy you think he is, that you assisted him to clear his farm does not mean that you should go and take his wife.
All right, Mr. Cletus, let's take a short break. I've been speaking with Cletus Obun, a scholar and political analyst, and tonight we're focused on the APC and the inclusion challenge. We'll take a break now, and I will be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. This is Politics Tonight, where we dig beyond the headlines. And tonight we're focused on the APC and the inclusion challenge with a scholar and political analyst, Cletus Obun. Mr. Obun, now the president approved appointment of new board of NDDC, and some groups in Cross River protested, rejecting Asu Oku Okang because he's a PDP chieftain. Now, why should that be causing problem?
Well, first of all, you heard me speak about former Governor Wike and his contribution to APC and why he should be rewarded and can be included. First, he has a pedigree of a performer, and in this particular instance, those who are members of APC, myself inclusive in Cross River State, and I think that in all good conscience, some people must have to play the kind of politics that tells the truth. That is to say, the case in Cross River State, like Ondo State, is the case of a revolt against negligence. You cannot just win an election, and you have Cross River State has over 41,000 members. 41,000, I say over 400,000 membership of APC alone. Even within that same local government. I will give you 3 instances and why that matter is very vexatious. The governorship candidate of PDP in my state, is from that local government. And we are in the tribunal with him. Members of our party are asking that if you are in the tribunal contesting an election, why will you, in all good conscience, accept appointment from another government that you don't trust and you are in the tribunal trying to take out? So what happens if tomorrow there's going to be a rerun? Where will your loyalty lie? Because you must be committed to a cause. So you are just there that every kind of food you see you must feed on. Even dogs select the kind of food and where they eat the food. You cannot be collecting appointments from an APC government that is in court. Your party has taken them to court. If the result tomorrow come and say, go and do a rerun, God forbid, where will the loyalty of Okang be? Who will he be working for? We do not know. 2, those who have already gotten the result that brought us to this point where we are looking for appointment, can you give such a prime appointment? And of course, Section 14, Sub 7 of our Nigerian Constitution is very clear about the distribution of state wealth. That it should be spread in such a manner that no area, on account of religion, on account of color or sex or tribe, be neglected or discriminated against. If you have an SSG from that local government in our state and you are now doing another appointment and the governorship candidate is even from that same ward, is it fair? Is it equitable distribution that 6 local governments in a senatorial district, 18 local governments in a state, such economic benefit, such social and political benefit and reward should be concentrated in one local government? That is the first point to make. I do not agree with those who are claiming that oil producing area should produce NDDC membership. That is not where we are. First of all, is he deserving? Did he work for this government for which he wants to benefit? And those who worked, I can tell you, some of them are not even in that community for voting for APC. Courtesy of this same beneficiary. He's a young man, very energetic, but I expect that he should be able to come out to say, look, I am not part of you, I won't accept an appointment from you. I want to believe, because so far he has not come out to celebrate. He has not come out to say he has accepted that appointment. So I believe that he's considering rejecting the appointment. I want to believe that Okang is an ideologue, because when Governor Ayade left PDP for APC, he was the Commissioner for Information. He refused to move with the governor. So that integrity that stood him out, I want him to demonstrate it now, and he will put himself on the history books for taking that decision. In Offa, in 2008, local government election, a councillorship candidate of PDP was about to be inaugurated. He came out and collected the microphone and said that he didn't win the election, that an SCN councillorship candidate defeated him, that he will not accept to be sworn in. He left the place. In Kano State, Shekarau, in this last election, NNPP won. His name was on the ballot. He rejected it. It is not everything that you see that you collect. We want to see integrity in a young person like that. He's a youth. He's a young person. Let him start by leading by example. He has not accepted this appointment. I want to see him come out to say, I will not accept it because I don't even believe in APC, because I'm not part of it. I rejected going there with my governor. And even talking about the governor, who brought...
Mr. Cletus, should these kinds of criticisms be happening? Should these kinds of criticisms be happening in a country striving for unity? I guess the president talked about government of national unity, but he also talked about government of national competence.
That is why I asked you before. That's why I made the point before now. Is you saying that from his ward, from his village, if you go and set exam, he will come first, that there's no other person there, and in the next local government, there will be no other person there? We are saying that we cannot sacrifice national unity on the altar of competence, or competence on the altar of national unity. You must find the middle point for the two. Get the most competent person from the most qualified place. We can afford that. It is not impossible. It is difficult. If you get a B, a 60% from a person who got 70%, all of them have passed that exam. They have Bs. The other one has B, the other one has an A, but all of them have passed. You get a 2-1, the other man gets a 2-2. The other man gets a first class, you get a second class upper. You've all passed the exam, you've all had your degrees and earned your degrees. So we are not in any way in a political game of this nature going to pigeonhole ourselves, chain ourselves to the apron strings of competence and the phantom of integrity. We cannot. Such phantom integrity cannot continue to be used as a yardstick for perpetuating injustice, discrimination, abandonment, and negligence. It cannot. So he is coming from a local government, one of the smallest local governments in Cross River State, but there are other local governments that can take that position and still keep us. Like I said, the FSG is from there, a qualified professor, former vice chancellor, sitting down there. So he covers that local government. The essence of political offices is, one, for continuously attaining and achieving the aims and objectives called the manifesto of the party. Two, in the most competent way, ensure that quality delivery of service to the people, what you call the division of democracy, is attained by the best brains that you can find and the best persons. You might have the best brain without the best heart, and you are going to have a bad government. So, government is run on the basis of empathy. A government must have the empathy of its people. It must cry with the people and laugh with the people at every occasion and every time.
So we also heard his nomination attracted protest in the state. Why this?
What? Come again.
We also heard his nomination attracted protest in the state. Why go to that extent?
Well, like I said, these are people who have sat in opposition for 16 years. They are coming into government for the first time in Cross River State, and they are seeing themselves again being deprived. Some of those people you see protesting, they have been out of government since 1999. They've never tasted government at all. Cross River has never produced anything outside PDP until Governor Yade came in 2021 into APC. We have never ever seen, we have been in opposition. I have been the leader of opposition, so I can speak about it authoritatively and audaciously. There is no, we've never tasted it. We've never had it. Now that we have it, we have people with PhDs, we have people who are businessmen who have been sponsoring the party in opposition with the expectation that a day like this will come. And then you are depriving them at the last minute, at the only opportunity they have. This is the only opportunity they have. This is the first opportunity they have. And you are showing them that it doesn't pay to be hardworking in politics, that there's no reward for loyalty or for commitment, and that anything can happen once you have anybody to sit on the high table and dictate and throw at you whatever you can take. Please, now there are beavers. There will be elections in 2027. We cannot afford it.
The APC has a new leadership. How will you advise the party? Mr. Cletus. The APC has a new leadership. How will you advise the party to ensure inclusion?
Yes, Governor Ganduje is a tested administrator. Don't forget he's a bureaucrat. He left bureaucracy into politics and been governor for 8 years. Coming to run party for him now should be less cumbersome. All he requires now is fair-mindedness, broad-mindedness, to consult as much as possible. Inclusion. Let me tell you, the political man for people like us who have run parties in a state as opposition, there is nothing that pleases a political actor than calling him to a meeting and making him feel that he's part of the decision, even when that decision is against him. Even if that decision is against him. I remember Adam Soshimole, as national chairman, did that to us. when we had an intractable crisis between the minister then and the rest of the state executive council, he called us to a meeting into one room. And when we started the discussion, and somebody said, look, the number of my own supporters are not here. Comrade Ansonle reminded us that we didn't come to vote, we came to discuss. And after that, everybody was satisfied. Those who were not satisfied were very few. Of course, you don't expect everybody to be satisfied. So inclusion means consultation, deep consultation with key stakeholders. Any person, you can build this studio with 500 million naira. You need only 500 naira to burn it down. So destruction is the cheapest thing that even the biggest fool can undertake. Building, construction, structuring is what takes the wise, the brave, and the broad-minded to do. So my take on this from experience and exposure in party administration is that Governor Ganduje should, as national chairman, where there are such crises, identify, consciously, painstakingly identify stakeholders in each of those areas. Bring them to the discussion table. And once a decision is taken there, everybody will be satisfied knowing that that is a decision of the collective. If you have 50 people in a room and 45 of them say one thing and 5 people say they are not and they feel they are powerful, they will cast a vote and you will get your decisions taken and implemented.
So let's move away from...
So for me, the inclusion here means bringing everybody on board, and as much as possible, don't be tired of calling meetings. Don't be tired. We are in government, so you cannot say you don't have the resources. We can't be having ministers, we can't be having National Assembly members and having a president, and we still don't have resources to run a party and keep the peace so that we win election and give Nigerians the best form of governance that we ever thought about.
All right, let's move away from party politics to governance now. What areas do you want the president to focus on to revive the economy?
Well, the government has taken off so well, I can tell you. One of the structural things to do presently is to break the ring, the stranglehold of corrupt officials. Who are these corrupt officials? They are being identified and fingered, but our government must learn to punish. In the last government, I remember the last president's wife saying that people are not being punished, and that's why they have the gumption to continue to do that. As we speak now, this government must come out to be ready to punish every person who is identified to have offended our laws in terms of corruption. For anything to happen in security, because that is one of the biggest challenges we have now, the security of the country. You can do nothing in the economy. Nobody will go to any farm if bandits are waiting to kidnap you. Nobody will go to a stall if they say stay at home on Mondays in Enugu Ogbete market, in Ariaria market, in Gariki market in Enugu. You cannot be improving the economy of the Southeast with that kind of policy. People won't go to farm in Zamfara and produce beans. People won't go to farm to produce jam in Zakibiam, in Taraba State. People are not going to go to farm to produce bananas in Bumaji, in Boki local government, when they know that if they go there, they won't return. Therefore, the first thing to do is to stem the insecurity in the country. If you don't do that, you can't even go to school. Your schools should be shut down because people can't even go from their houses to school, and lecturers are not going to be able to go there. Doctors can't go to their clinics, they'll be kidnapped. So security first. To improve the economy, you must shut down everything about insecurity in the country. That's the first step to take. The second thing, that the second to...
We're running out of time.
Hello?
We're running out of time. We're not running out of time, but quickly before I let you go, the judgment of the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal is being awaited. What are your expectations? And if the court orders a rerun, where would that leave the APC? In 30 seconds.
That is the most unlikely thing to happen, because if you were in court, if you ever attended one of the court sessions, you will discover that the lawyers will tell you it is a no-case submission. Clearly, what you find there is speculative accusations and allegations that were never proven, and some of them that are of criminal nature, you must in fact prove your case beyond all reasonable doubt, even shadow of doubt. In this case now, because with the beavers, you can no longer go. If there's going to be a rerun, I think already APC is the only party now surviving. PDP is in tatters. The umbrella is shattered. The rains are beating them, and they are, in fact, battle-weary. The Labour Party, I don't know who their chairman is. I don't know who will now go and present them. They are already in danger of existence, expiring on their own, self-liquidation. And then, of course, NNPP, you heard today, Kwankwaso is being suspended. He is suspending others. So you can see that the rerun is already made. If at all, the very unlikely thing to happen is a rerun. If that happens, it will be a one-horse race, not even a two-horse race, because none of the other parties are stable enough and organized enough to be able to withstand an election. In any case, it cannot happen because they have nothing presented in court. All you have heard is social media trial and conviction. That cannot withstand our jurisprudence. And I imagine that everybody who has been following, in fact, by PDP members accepting appointments in APC, what does that tell you? It means that they have considered that there is nothing to go for, and they have no case in court. Because if they had any hope, they will reject it and say, look, we are hoping to win our case. Therefore, we have no need for this appointment. Whether the case of us Okang in Karaba or whether the cases in Abuja of Wike, it is only a conclusion, an acceptance, an admission that the parties have all collapsed and APC is just waiting to carry the day. That is why Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu must bring his best hands and his best men to be able to parade and paddle this canoe of Nigeria to safe havens. And so that when we bet...
Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful conversation
there's new hope
with you tonight. Mr. Cletus Obun, scholar and political analyst, as we focus on the APC and the inclusion challenge. Thank you so much for coming on the program and for your perspective on our discussion tonight. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, and may God bless our fatherland.